All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started today. Having a seat on our mat. So whatever's comfortable, legs crossed, legs out, feet on the floor. Go ahead and just start to rock yourself side to side. And then just let yourself rest. Let your hands fall wherever's comfortable, whether that's down by your side, on your knees, in your lap. And we'll slowly start to close the eyes. Start to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Focusing on our breath. Feeling it come in through the body with each inhale. And then leaving the body with each exhale. Starting to let the day go. Start to bring ourselves onto our mats. Preparing the mind and the breath for the practice we're about to do. So take a few more deep inhales and exhales. And we'll take one more deep inhale in. And exhale it out. And we'll slowly let the head fall, bringing the chin to the chest. Letting the head hang here for a second, stretching out the back of the neck. And then slowly start to rock the head from side to side. Hovering each ear over the shoulder for just a second and then rolling to that other side. Trying to keep the forehead and the head forward, not rolling the neck back. We're just going each side, taking it as slow as is comfortable. And the next time we get to the right side, we'll go ahead and hold the head over that shoulder. And we'll take that left hand, placing it down on the mat or just hovering it over the mat, just straightening that arm out, getting a little bit of a more stretch in that neck. Take a few deep breaths here. And we'll take that hand back up, place it back on the leg, and roll that head over to the other side. Holding that head over that left side. And then taking that right hand, placing it either down on the mat or just straightening the elbow out. Getting that little bit more stretch in that neck. Taking deep inhales and exhales. And we'll take that hand, bring it back up, setting it down on the leg. We'll roll the neck forward, bringing the chin to the chest, letting the head hang one more time. And then as we inhale, bringing that head all the way up. And going to exhale here. And then we'll inhale, bring the arms up. And as we exhale, we're going to drop the right hand down to the mat and just slowly tilt over that right side. Sending the breath down that left side body. Feeling each space between the ribs open and expand. And on that next inhale, bringing ourselves back up, bringing that right arm up. And as we exhale, dropping that left arm down and folding over that left side. Again, feeling that right side open and expand with each breath. And on that next inhale, we'll bring that arm back up. And as we exhale, dropping both hands down. And we'll come up onto our hands and our knees. Taking a second to line the wrists under the shoulders. Line those knees under the hips. Feet tops are flat on the mat. And as we inhale, we're going to drop the belly down, bring the gaze up. As we exhale, roll that spine up, tucking the chin into the chest. Inhale, dropping the belly down, gaze up. Exhale, rolling that spine. Inhale, dropping down, gaze up. Exhale, roll the spine. Inhale, dropping the belly down. And exhale, roll the spine. We'll do one more inhale, dropping the belly down. Exhale, rolling that spine up, tucking that chin. And on this inhale, bring ourselves to a neutral spine. Bring that gaze up. We're going to take the left leg, stick it straight back. We're going to take the right hand, stick it straight forward like we're shaking someone's hand. And we'll just take a few breaths here, just balancing it out. Trying not to round the spine down here, trying to keep a nice long back. And that next exhale, we'll place the hand and the foot back down onto the mat. Take a second to realign. And we'll take that right leg, sticking it straight back, taking that left hand forward. Again, we're just balancing right here. Trying not to drop the spine down, drop the belly down, trying to keep it nice and long through the middle. Taking deep inhales and exhales. And on the next exhale, taking that hand and foot, placing it back on the mat. We're going to drop ourselves down onto the elbows. And then if we can, we're going to take the forehead, placing it on the mat, keeping the hips up in the air. If you want, you can walk the elbows out, getting a little bit longer of a stretch in those shoulders. Taking deep inhales and exhales. You should feel a stretch in the shoulders here and the upper back. And take a few more breaths. And on the next inhale, we'll kind of walk the shoulders back in, or the elbows, sorry, back in, so they're about under the shoulders. We can keep the hands flat on the mat, or if you want to kind of clasp them together in front of you, it's your choice. We'll bring the gaze back down. So it's almost like we're going to go into a down dog here, but we're going to stay on the elbows. So if it's too much, we can drop back down into the pose that we were just in, keeping those knees on the mat. So if we want to get into this pose, we'll tuck the toes here and lift the hips up, keeping those elbows on the mat, letting the head hang between the arms. So we should feel even more of a stretch, using those muscles in the shoulders to keep us up, feeling the backs of the legs start to waken up. Taking deep inhales and exhales. Again, if you need to drop back down onto the knees at any point, feel free. We'll take one more breath. Exhaling it out. And then drop back down onto those knees. We'll tuck those big toes together, sink those hips back, placing that forehead down onto the mat. Now let's take the hands and place them alongside the legs. Give those shoulders a little bit of a rest here. And take some deep inhales and exhales. And just a few more breaths down here. And we'll take those hands, bring them out straight in front of us, walking those fingertips for as long as we can get those arms. Start to lift the forehead up off the mat. Try to keep the hands where they're at, tucking those toes, bringing those hips up towards the sky, coming into a down dog. Taking a few deep breaths here. If we want to pedal the feet out, we can pedal the feet. Just a few more breaths in our nice long down dog. And on that next inhale, walking those feet up to the hands. We'll fold over our legs, putting a bend in those knees, placing the hands on the thighs, and slowly rolling all the way up, one vertebrae at a time. Stacking each on top of the other, and then bringing the head, neck, shoulders, rolling it down the back. We'll take the hands, placing them by the side. Close our eyes for just a breath here. And exhaling it out. We'll open the eyes back up. And as we inhale, bring the hands up. Exhale, swan diving ourselves forward over the legs. Inhaling, half lifting, sliding the hands right under those knees. Exhaling down. And inhale, coming all the way up to standing. Bringing those arms up. Exhaling down. Inhaling the arms up. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. And inhale all the way up. Exhaling the arms down. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, swan diving forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up. Bring those arms up. Exhaling down. All right, we'll move to those full salutes. So inhale, arms up. Exhale, swan diving forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, step back to a high plank or drop onto the knees. As we exhale, all the way down onto the mat. Inhale, bring just that chest up. Exhale, down. Inhale, back to down dog. Taking a breath here. And on that next inhale, walk the feet up to the hands. Folding over those legs. And inhale all the way up. Exhaling the arms down. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, swan diving forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, step back to plank or onto the knees. Exhale all the way onto the mat. Inhale, just lift that chest. Exhaling down. Inhale, pushing back into down dog. Taking a breath here. And on the next inhale, walk those feet up to the hands. Folding over those legs. And inhale all the way up. Exhale, arms down. Do that one more time. So inhale the arms up. Exhale, swan diving forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, step back to plank or onto the knees. Exhale all the way onto the mat. Inhale, just lifting that chest. Exhaling down. Inhale, push back to down dog. And we'll take a few extra breaths here. Catch the breath if we've lost it by refocusing on it here. On the next inhale, we're going to lift the right leg. As we exhale, we're going to bring it forward, dropping the toes between the thumbs. We're going to drop down onto that back knee. Untuck those toes. And then we're going to put those hands on the thigh, bringing ourselves up. And as we inhale, we're going to sweep the arms up. We can stay right here. Or if we want to add a little bit of a back bend, we can bring the gaze up towards the ceiling and slowly start to tilt that upper body back. Engaging the core here. Taking a few breaths. And we'll go ahead and bring ourselves back up forward and bring that back bend. As we exhale, we can bring the hands down onto the mat. There's not going to be a really easy way to do this. So if we kind of pop onto those toes and kind of shift ourselves forward a little bit, we're going to come up. So we're kind of parallel here. So we're up on that back knee, straight up and down instead of leaning into that front knee. We're going to take the right leg. I'll turn this way so you guys can kind of see. So we'll take this right leg, sticking it out to the side. And your foot can either be sideways or pointing straight out, whatever's comfortable on the hip and the ankle. We're going to take our left hand and kind of cartwheel it down onto the mat. And our right leg slowly going to start to lift off the mat. So then once we have the leg off the mat, we're going to start to flex those toes so they're pointing straight in front of us. We can keep the foot on the mat if it's too much to lift the leg. We'll take a few breaths here. If it gets to be too much on the arm, you can take the hand, placing it on the hip. And the leg, if it's not all the way parallel and you're just hovering over the mat, that's okay. Taking one more breath. Exhaling out. And then slowly dropping that foot back down onto the mat. Give yourself a little push, coming all the way back up. We'll bring the hands down. I'll turn sideways here. So we can take the hands, placing them on the mat in front, on both sides of that front foot. We're going to tuck those back toes, slowly lift the knee off the mat, and walk that right foot over to the side just a little bit. So we're on those railroad tracks, so our feet are parallel with each other. We're going to take the hands, place them on the thigh, bring ourselves up into that high lunge. We can, if the hands need a little bit of rest, or the arms, we can keep them on the hips. We'll make sure those hips are nice and square, facing forward. And we can either keep the hands here, or inhale, bring those arms up. And we'll just stay straight up and down here. Taking those deep inhales and exhales. Just a couple more breaths. And as we exhale, we'll drop those hands down, bring them to our sides, and rotate that back foot so it's now parallel with the mat. And kind of walk that front foot over just a little bit so our heel is about in line with the middle of that back foot. We'll shift those hips so now they're a little bit to the side. And then putting a bend in that front knee. Bringing our arms out to the side. Gaze going over that front middle finger. So you want to make sure to keep the arms nice and parallel with those legs. Take a few inhales and exhales here. And we'll go ahead, inhale, straightening that front leg. Excuse me. We're gonna start to shift our upper body over that front leg. So as we shift, and then we'll tilt. Bringing that left arm straight up. That right hand can be resting on the shin, down on the ankle, up on the thigh. Trying not to be on that knee. And the gaze can either be up at the ceiling, down at the foot, or over at the sidewall, whatever's comfortable. Trying to keep length in the back, trying to keep ourselves nice and long. So if you feel that you're tilting forward, try to come up in the position a little bit. Taking a few deep breaths here. And we'll take one more inhale and exhale. And then putting a bend in that front knee, we'll come back up to our warrior two. So bringing those hands, putting that bend in that knee, gaze over that front middle finger. And we'll stay here for just a second, taking one inhale and exhale. And we'll go ahead and let those hands rest. We'll straighten that front leg, rotate that foot so it's also parallel with the mat. And then taking that second here to go ahead and line up those toes with each other. And we'll inhale, bring the arms up. And as we exhale, fold over those legs, straight down, right between the legs. Taking a few breaths here. And we'll slowly start to place the hands under the face, straighten the elbows. We're gonna keep the legs wide, but we're slowly gonna just walk over to the right leg. Trying to keep the feet or the knees straight if we can. If we have to put a little bit of a bend in that right leg to get over there, we can. So we should feel a pretty good stretch along that right leg. And even if we're walking over and we're not all the way to the foot, if we're just a little bit over, wherever's comfortable. Again, taking the deep breaths here. And slowly start to walk ourselves back to the center. Let the head hang for just a minute here. Take a deep inhale and exhale. And then we'll slowly start to walk ourselves to the front of the mat, rotating those feet. And we'll step that front leg back into a down dog. Taking a few deep breaths here. Maybe feeling a little bit of a difference between the legs. Maybe that right leg's a little bit looser now than that left leg. Just noticing the differences in the body. Taking one more breath here. And on the next inhale, we're gonna go ahead and lift that left leg up. As we exhale, sweeping that leg through, dropping it between the thumbs. And dropping that right knee down, untucking those toes if we can. We'll take the hands, place them up on that thigh, lift ourselves up. And inhale, bring those arms up to the sky. We can stay right here. Or if we want to add that little back bend, we can bring the gaze up towards the ceiling and slowly shift that upper body back. Engaging the core here. Taking deep breaths. Just a few more breaths here. And if we're in that back bend, we'll go ahead and bring ourselves straight forward. And exhale, bringing those hands down onto the mat. Starting to shift back a little bit and bringing that back leg forward. Coming back up onto the knee. So now that back leg should be straight down from the hip. Again, I'll turn sideways for you guys. So taking that right hand this time, or I'm sorry, the leg first. We're gonna take that left leg, sticking it straight out to the side. Again, either that toe can be pointing up, or you can kind of rotate it so the foot's down, whatever's comfortable at this point for you. Now we're gonna take that right hand and slowly start to drop it down onto the mat. That foot will shift forward, either start to pop up or keeping it down. We'll bring that left arm straight up. And if we can, lifting that leg up. This time we're flexing those toes so they're pointing forward. Again, the foot can stay on the mat or just kind of hover and play with where you're comfortable. Taking deep inhales and exhales here. Just a few more breaths. One more inhale and exhale. And slowly start to let that foot come down onto the mat and popping up off that arm. And we'll slowly start to, bring that left foot back forward. So now we're back on the foot right in front of us. We're going to take the hands, placing them down onto the mat on either side of the foot. Bring those right toes up, popping that knee up off the mat. Again, walking that left foot so it's a little bit off center so those feet are on the railroad tracks. And we'll take the hands, place them on the thighs, and bring ourselves up. Again, we can keep the hands just on the hips. If those shoulders need a little bit of a rest, we want to also make sure those hips are facing forward and they're nice and even. We want to add the arms as we inhale. We sweep the arms up. And we'll stay right here for a few breaths. And feeling the breath move in through the body with each inhale and leaving the body with each exhale. And we'll go ahead and let those arms come down to the sides. Rotating that back foot so the foot is placed facing parallel with the mat. So taking a second to move that front foot over, making sure that heel is about in line with about the middle of that back foot, and then placing that bend in that front knee, making sure those hips have not moved, not one hiked up other than that. Excuse me. And we'll take those hands, placing them out to the sides. Gaze goes over that front middle finger. Trying to keep those hands nice and parallel so we don't want to drop them down. And inhaling and exhaling. Feeling very steady in this pose. Strong on the legs. Each foot holding just the same amount of weight. A few more breaths here. And we'll go ahead and straighten that front leg. We're going to start to shift that upper body over that front leg, tilting ourselves down. Taking that left hand, placing it either on the shin, on the ankle, up on the thigh. Trying not to go onto that knee. That right arm is facing straight up. Gaze either up at the ceiling, down at that foot, or over at the side. And taking those deep inhales and exhales. And we'll take one more breath. And putting a bend in that front knee, we'll come back up to that warrior two for just a second. Placing those hands out to the side, bringing that bend in that knee. Inhaling and exhaling. And then we'll let those hands relax. Straighten that front leg, rotating that foot. So now both feet are parallel again with the mat. And taking that second to adjust those toes so they're in line with each other. We'll inhale, bringing those arms up. And exhale, folding over those legs right in the middle. And we'll hang out here for just a second, taking deep breaths. And we'll take the hands, place them right under that face, and start to walk the hands over to that left foot. Again, trying to keep the knees straight, but if we have to put a bend in that left knee, or if we don't walk those hands all the way over and you start to feel tight in that leg, stop wherever you feel it. Taking deep breaths here. Feeling that stretch down that whole back left leg. Take one more breath here. And we'll walk those hands back center, letting that head hang. Go ahead and shake it around. Do some circles here. Shake the head yes, shake it no. And then just let it hang. And we'll take the hands, place them right under the face, straighten those elbows, walking the hands over to the front of that mat, rotating those feet, and stepping that front leg back to a down dog. And now the legs, feeling the difference, feeling the evenness now between each leg. And take a second to think about our first down dog compared to the down dog we're doing right now. Maybe those legs are a little looser. Those feet maybe just a little bit closer to the mat. Taking deep breaths. And we're going to take the right leg, lifting it up. And as we exhale, we're going to bring the knee forward, dropping that knee between the hands. We can put a bend in that back leg and then shift that back leg back just a bit. Untucking the toes on that left leg. Taking a second, we can adjust that front knee. So the more that it's facing straight forward, the less intense, the more you have the shin in line with the front of the mat, so parallel with the mat, the more stretch you're going to get here in that hip. So pick what's comfortable to you. We want to make sure that left leg is coming straight out from the hip. We want to keep these hips nice and even, so that right hip we don't want rolling down. So if we need to tuck something under that side to keep it up, we can. So we can stay right here. You might feel a pretty deep stretch just right here with those arms straight up. If not, we can drop down to the elbows. And maybe we stay right here. Or maybe we give it just a second to allow that hip to kind of adjust to the new position and let it relax a little bit. And then if we need to go even deeper into that stretch, we can take the hands, stack them on top of each other, and place the forehead onto those hands. Or we can remove the hands completely, take the forehead, place it straight down onto the mat. Again, remembering to keep those hips nice and parallel with each other. So if you feel that right hip starting to drop down, maybe take a pillow or something and stick it under there. And if at any point throughout this pose you need to go to a higher position with the hands, feel free. We'll spend a couple breaths here and wiggle the toes of that bent knee. Sometimes that foot starts to tingle a little bit. Moving those toes around can help a little on that. So we'll take a few breaths here. And we'll start to lift that head up. If we have the head on the mat, we'll start to bring those shoulders in, bring elbows in, placing the hands right where the elbows were. Bring ourselves back up. And then slowly now we are going to rotate down onto that right hip. Bringing that back leg out and straightening that right leg. Go ahead and wiggle that right leg around, wiggle that foot around. Let it loosen up a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and switch to that other side. So however is comfortable for you to get there. Sometimes it's easier to get up on the hands and the knees. And then kind of take that right foot out, coming on the toes, and then shifting that left knee forward. And then untucking those toes on the right leg. Again, taking a second here to adjust that knee if we want it straight forward, if we want that leg parallel, whatever's comfortable, pick that position. Again, we want to make sure that left hip stays up, so we're not rolling it down. So we can stay right here. Maybe this is the stretch we want. Maybe we stay here for just a little bit. Again, letting that hip loosen up. We can move throughout these positions throughout this pose, so don't feel like you're stuck in one. We want to go a little lower. We'll drop down to those elbows. Again, maybe we stay right here. Or maybe we go back up on the hands. Giving that leg just a second to adjust to that new height. And if we need to go a little bit deeper, we can take the hands, stack them on top of each other, placing the forehead on top of those hands. Or taking the head, placing it right down onto the mat. Whatever's comfortable. Remember, each side is different, so maybe one side you might be a little bit lower than the other, and that's okay. Remembering to keep that hip nice and even. Again, wiggle those toes, that bent leg. And then let them relax. And just take those breaths, sending them into that hip. Again, at any point, if you need to come to a higher position, feel free. And take a few more breaths. Let that hip loosen up. And if we have that forehead on the mat, we'll start to lift it up. Take those elbows, start to bring them in towards the shoulders. Take those hands, place them right where those elbows were, bringing ourselves back up. And then we'll slowly start to rotate down onto that left hip. Bring that right leg around. Taking that left foot out straight in front of us. Give those legs a wiggle. Especially that left one, let that hip loosen up. And then we'll kick both feet out in front of us. Kind of rock back and forth so we're up on those sit bones. We'll inhale those arms up. And exhale, fold over those legs. Trying to keep the length in the back. So if you feel like you're starting to arch forward, maybe back out of it just a little bit. If you're at the toes and you need a little bit more of a stretch, you can pull those toes back, but make sure you're not pulling that back forward and down. So we should feel that stretch along the backs of the legs, but we're also feeling it in that lower back. Taking those breaths here. Starting to let the body cool down. And take those hands, place them on the mat, slowly walk back up. Let's bring those feet up. We're going to place the feet on the wide edges of the mat. Take the hands, placing them behind us. And we're just going to let those feet just kind of drop, or those knees, sorry, drop side to side here. Taking your time. If you need to let one side go a little bit longer, holding it down. And the next time we get to the right side, we're going to let the legs come all the way down. We're going to rotate the left hand around, bringing it back behind us, like we're going to shake someone's hand. Then that twist in the back, the twist in the hips. Taking those breaths here. And as we exhale, we're going to bring that left hand back around, placing it back on the mat. Take a second to adjust the hips, adjust the arms if we need to. We're going to rotate side to side with those knees one more time. And then when we get to that left side, letting those knees come down, sweeping that right hand around. Like we're going to do that handshake behind us. Again, feeling that twist in that back and those hips. And as we exhale, we're going to sweep that right hand back around, placing it down behind us. We'll drop the knees one more time to each side. And then bring the knees up. We'll bring the feet back to the center of the mat. Slowly make our way all the way down onto our mats. We're going to bring the knees into the chest, taking a hold of the legs, slowly rocking side to side. And then we'll release the legs down onto the mat, straightening them out in front of us. Doing one last final stretch here, taking the hands up and overhead, stretching those feet down below us, full body stretch, almost like we're just waking up in the morning. And then letting everything relax down onto the mat, letting the feet fall wherever's comfortable. Taking those hands and arms, placing them alongside the body. Start to close the eyes. Start to refocus on the breath. Feeling those inhales and exhales moving through the body. Maybe we feel the heat from our practice covering ourselves just like a blanket. Or maybe we feel that heat starting to leave the body in certain areas. Trying to clear the mind of any thoughts we might have. Letting the body just relax down into the mat. Releasing any tension, any stresses. anything from the day. Just letting it go with each exhale. And bringing in a relaxation with each inhale. Feeling the body sink deeper and deeper into the mat. And slowly start to bring a little life back into the body by wiggling the fingers and the toes, rolling the wrists and the ankles, rocking the head from side to side. Deep in those inhales and exhales. And we'll take one foot, place it on the mat, and follow it by the other foot. Take one knee into the chest, follow it by that other knee. Grabbing a hold of those legs and rocking side to side. And we'll roll onto our right side. with the right side grounded by the earth, leaving the left side open to the sun and the stars and all the gifts the universe has to offer you today. When you're ready, come up to a comfortable seated position. Take the hands, place them in front of the heart. We'll close the eyes one last time. Take a deep inhale. And exhale it all out. Thank you for sharing your practice with me this evening. Hope you have a good rest of your night. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.